You gotta be lying. You have to be lying. You call us ghetto, ignorant monkeys, but when your white children are lost, you tell them to find a black woman or a man.
Sorry, y'all, I'm frying bacon in the background, but I know you lying.
I did not even know this was a thing until this young lady witnessed it in the store. And before y'all come to me, ain't nothing wrong with helping a child of any race. Race shouldn't even be involved, but y'all make it involved. Some of you do. When this child went and found her a black teenager, the mom comes with the police like, why the hell you touching my child? So we can't win for losing. This happened to Lizzie Rance.
I was in a grocery store today where a random white child ran up to a random black teenager. She looked to be about 15, 16 years old, but probably appeared older to him because he looked to be about 6, 7 years old. So he went up to her, grabbed her hand, and was like, "Mommy told me to find one of you if I'm lost. Can you help?" And this kid, this teenager, deer in headlights, had no idea, looking around trying to figure out what to do. And honestly, I've never trusted that situation. I've never trusted the fact that y'all tell your children to find a black woman for safety, but you tell the world black women are violent, angry, and bitter. Never really trusted that. So I stayed in the aisle, and I'm glad I did, because not even 30 seconds later, here comes his mother with security rounding the corner talking about, "Why are you touching my child?"
But y'all think it's cute, though.
What do you do if you get lost?
Find a big black guy.
You find a big black guy, and what do you tell him?
And that I lost.
I wish I could enjoy that moment of that precious, precious baby that is going to look for a black man as a beacon of light. She taught her son that. But you know what I have to teach my black son? Son, if you find a white lost child or they find you, immediately take your phone out, start video recording, and take them to the next white adult to call the police. That's what I'm going to teach my son to do so that he won't get in trouble. I'm also going to teach my daughter the same thing. Black parents, please teach your teenagers or young adults that are out here when they start going out into the world alone, that if this happens to them, to find a white adult to take that child to and call the police. Listen, y'all, I'm not making this about race, but we have to keep ourselves safe. We can't help anybody if we're not being safe. But it's the nerve, the gall, because even though some of you are like, yeah, for us, most of y'all didn't vote that way. That's why we're in the situation we're in now.
Now, it's truly unfortunate, and it's actually poetic in hypocrisy, because what do you mean that these people are telling kids that when you get lost, you have to make sure you go and look for a big black man? Now that sounds, is she setting him up? That in itself sounds a little weird, but it's really surprising. But at the end of the day, that shows something in itself, because it means that they know the truth, right? Like, they know the truth that the world isn't showing. They know the truth that the statistics isn't showing. Because if you sit there and if you thought that your group of people were safe, then you tell your kids, hey, you know what? Look out for these group of people or this group of people, right? But the fact that you're saying, you know what, when you're lost, look for a black person and they will get you home safely, it's because deep down they know the truth. They know that black people are never the problem to begin with, and it's just the world and the media that's sort of pushing this whole narrative of black people are this and that, yet they are not this and that. And this video and other videos are just going to show that. Hi there, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jenny Samaya. If you're new here and you like this video, please make sure you subscribe.
What do you do if you get lost?
Find a big black guy.
You find a big black guy, and what do you tell him?
And that I lost.
That you're lost?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd find my home.
Okay.
Oh, do I need to tell you there's a bunch of white people really upset about that video? Stitching it, duetting it in the comments. Oh, this is racist. Actually, if you want to be real about it, statistically, based on the data, any child would be safer approaching a strange black man than they would a strange white man. So let's look at some numbers. Convictions of possessing images of children. White people, 86%, while black make up only 4. I'd say white people damn near cornered the market. Now, when you talk about assault of a child, the numbers are a little bit different, but white people still excel. 42% are white, 18% are black, but I feel these numbers might be skewed. For example, Hispanic make up 10% of the abuse. They also make up 10% of the possession of images, so those seem to be pretty close to each other, while these other numbers are way off. Now factor in that black people are 7 times more likely to be wrongfully convicted of a serious crime, including that kind of assault, than white people are. Then think about all of the priests at the Catholic Church hid and protected and moved around. All of the pastors that we've recently found out the Southern Baptists were protecting. Think about all of the well-respected white teachers and coaches and scout leaders over the years where people just didn't believe the children, didn't believe that that good man was capable of that. And it's not hard to imagine that these numbers should probably be closer to those. And as long as we're talking fun facts, let's look at this one. They looked at SA convictions from 2006 to 2017, and you know what they found? There was a 1,330.47% increase in sentences of black individuals and a 8.6 decrease in sentences for white individuals. So white people, far more likely to do it, also more likely to receive a lenient sentence for it. So while I'm real sorry if that first video triggered you, statistically speaking, that mom is right. And maybe you should teach your children to do the same thing.
What do you do if you get lost?
So when the movie Get Out came out, I told a lot of people that it was actually a documentary, and this is what I meant.
Hey there. As you might imagine, I've received a hell of a lot of pushback on my recent posts about child SA, but almost all of it hangs on a report from the so-called Center for Migration Control by one Robert Bates, a man so steeped in the hard right ecosystem and, surprisingly, a campaigner for Reform UK. You'll have seen the claims. Afghan men, Somalis and Albanians supposedly many times more likely to commit these kind of offences, and it's had my opponents frothing over the numbers as if they're some kind of slam dunk. Bates filed a Freedom of Information request to a handful of local authorities. He cherry-picked the responses and then span these scraps into sweeping claims about migrants as sexual predators. No peer review, no proper context, and a thunderingly dishonest dose of statistical sleight of hand. I strongly recommend you look up Lewis Aaron's excellent work dismantling Bates's methods. He shows the dishonesty with consummate elegance, and I'll link this great piece below. Yet as ever, the right-wing press and GB News have lapped it up, they've amplified it, and they've applied not a single modicum of scrutiny. I refer now to the most complete national dataset ever assembled on child SA, the 2025 CSA Centre report. It covers every recorded case in England and Wales where offender ethnicity was logged. I've captioned the figures above, and they show conclusively that white offenders are responsible for the overwhelming majority of cases. And more importantly, white men are the only group overrepresented per capita. Every other group is either proportionate or underrepresented. And yes, some cases don't log ethnicity, but when it's missed, it's usually white offenders who go unrecorded, which means the true figure for white offenders is almost certainly higher. So when people quote the dodgy dossier from Bates, they're not quoting the truth. They're repeating a distortion designed to stigmatize minorities and fuel hard right narrative that is incredibly dangerous to our social cohesion. If we really care about protecting children, we should work with evidence, not with weaponized misinformation. Thank you so much for listening again.
If you seriously believe the 13% of the population and 50% of the crime, you need to get fact-checked, and I'm about to do it to you. In 2016, white people committed 70% of the convicted crime, and black people only committed 27%. Then in 2017, white people committed 68% of the reported crime, and black people only committed 26% of it. And in 2024, white people committed 53% of the reported crime, while black people only committed 25%. So this narrative on 13% of the population, 50% of the crime is wrong. You know who actually commits 50% of the crime? White people. But guess what stat black people are 13% of the population and 50% in? Exonerations. when they're wrongly convicted. All you're doing by spreading this fake fact is allowing more people to profile and be racist towards black people. You know what's the highest percentage of people who are victims of white people? Black people. And if you look at all the shootings, guess who are the shooters? White dudes. So let's all think long and hard on who actually commits 50% of the crime.
As we were saying, the black people are the chosen people. That is the reason why their own offspring is coming out here to challenge them, to expose all the lies they have been telling themselves over the years. This is a clear indication that the end is near and things are a bit messy on the other side. So my dear brothers and sisters, we don't even need to tell our own side of the story anymore. We don't need to keep justifying ourselves anymore. We don't need to tell them that we have superpowers anymore because nature is already doing its job. Thank you all for watching this video and let me know what you think about it down there in the comment section. Bye for now.
Okay, guys, we've come to the end of this episode. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Has a child approached you and said, "Hey, help me, mister"? Let me know in the comment section. It also reminds me of the Blackish episode when Dre was getting into the elevator and there was a lost kid and he didn't even try to help the lost kid because he had trauma from helping anyone of a certain color. You know what I mean? And it was just hilarious, but it just goes to show what black men are going through on a daily. On one hand, you have telling the kids look for black people, and then on the other hand, it's more like, oh, hey, black people, when you see a lost white girl, you need to leave her alone. The irony in everything. But yeah, guys, please make sure you follow me on all my socials at Johnny Tamaya, website johnnytamaya.com, and I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Okay, bye.